Is your business protected against the threat of malicious litigation and frivolous lawsuits? Are you sinking company profits into marketing campaigns that do nothing to contribute to the growth of your business? Bottled Business Sense provides practical business perspectives that uniquely emphasize both legal and media marketing strategies to protect and ensure the longevity of your business. Now, whether you're trying to provide a startup business with some level of stability or an established business with foolproof asset and estate protection, or simply attempting to get a better return for your business marketing dollars, Bill Bernard and Rick Moscoso will expose potential pitfalls to ensure the security and growth of your business, free from unwanted expense and the threat of litigation. You'll learn how to implement marketing and protection tools equal to those used by today's most successful corporations. Let's join Bill and Rick for today's Bottled Business Sense show.
Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Bill Bernard, and we're here for another Bottled Business Sense show on Tuesday at 10 a.m. We're here every week, broadcasting live and in color on a simulcast. You can watch us on the Bottled Business Sense show website. You can listen to us on our Bottled Business Sense blog talk radio site. You can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Google+, Twitter, just about everywhere. So check us out. We like to bring entrepreneurs and business people up to speed on legal issues, on marketing issues. Our goal here is to make sure that business is bottled up and secure and protected, and that it sails along in a prosperous fashion, and it's free information. So today we're going to talk about solving the ransomware and business verification problems that exist out there today in the business world. And before I bring Rick on, I want to point out that the primary targets, for example, of ransomware, let's take that off the top, are businesses. And so we're here to tell you about that. You could get a malicious piece of software that sneaks into your computer via a suspicious email attachment or some infected website link. And then all of a sudden, encrypted data is stored on your device. Now somebody's calling you up and they want to pay you. They want you to pay them a lot of money, either to release the site or to get you out of the mess that you might be in. And so in order to talk about this more appropriately and in more depth, I want to bring my co-host on, Rick Moscoso, because he's going to be able to really lend you a hand when it comes to both the ransomware and business verification issues. Good morning, Rick. How are you today?
Hey, Bill, I'm doing great. Glad to be here again for our viewers and listeners out there. This is, it's an interesting topic because we see this every day. And what we're talking about today is a little bit more focused towards business, as you said. Most of the viewers out there, business owners, we're all familiar about, we've heard of viralware, viruses, those types of things that attack just about anything online, right? Whether it's your PC, your laptop, your desktop, even your mobile device is susceptible to that. But
now they're going to hold you for ransom because of it, right?
Yeah. And so now what they've done, and specifically targeted this towards businesses, is that they not only infect your computer, but they actually have a way to encrypt it, lock it up, so it's totally unusable unless you pay a ransom for this individual or this organization to unlock it. So let me give you an example.
And they can even redirect your site to other nasty sites. If they could do that. If they have a mind to, right?
Yeah, they could do that. I think primarily what these guys are doing, they're pretty advanced when you think about it. The first I heard about it was a couple of years ago. A networking group that I'm still in, we had an IT professional who deals with business owners out there, and they got hit by, and I forgot the specific name to it, but it's a form of ransomware where all of a sudden their machine, their computer in their office started to go beyond the blue screen of death if you're on a PC, right? It started files look like they were getting erased, and then just in front of their eyes, all of a sudden, a nice happy message comes up and says that your information, your data on your computer has been encrypted. In order to unencrypt it, please click on the link below. Right, something simple like that. And so you click on the link, and then it's redirected to this really nice looking website, very professional. But in essence, what they're asking for is that you pay X amount of dollars to purchase an unlock key. To recover all of your data within 24 hours or 48 hours, whatever the time frame is.
How does that work for you?
Yeah. And so they give you a price, right, of, let's say it's $500. And if you can't pay within that 48-hour time frame, that price now goes up to $1,500. So, and it's not like, and they don't make it easy either, because here's another thing that they started doing. And I know some people out there have heard of this, but rather than dropping your credit card, right, to pay for this unlock key, these guys that develop this ransomware now are asking you to deposit the funds in the form of Bitcoin. Okay. Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin? Bill, have you ever heard that term? You know what it is?
No, I have no idea.
Okay, so Bitcoin several years ago came up as a means of exchanging money online. It's basically digital currency. It doesn't come in the form of a metal coin or a piece of paper, but it's digital currency. And if you look online, it can actually be traded just like paper currency, but it's not affected by the banks because there's no middleman. So if you Google Bitcoin today, here we are in the middle of June, and the current exchange rate for Bitcoin is, for one Bitcoin, it's equivalent to about $560. Okay.
My goodness.
So yeah, and so these guys who provide these ransomware unlock keys want you to pay their ransom in the form of Bitcoin. And then, so the next question is, where the heck do I get Bitcoin? I can't go to the bank because, the bank's the middleman guy. So there are places online where you can deposit money, which isn't easy, but there are online places where you can exchange Bitcoin for currency, and then you use that Bitcoin credit and pay that to the ransomware provider for that unlock key. It's ridiculous when you think about it.
Well, I can only imagine the array of schemes out there, Rick. But I guess the first thing that you would recommend, well, I mean, the obvious thing, I guess it should be obvious, right? Especially when it comes to client information and accounting information, you're going to want to back up your files, right? I mean, that's got to be the first thing that you should do. I would imagine, make sure your files are backed up.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're a business out there and you have sensitive information, personal records, payroll records, client information, any of that stuff, you should be in the practice of protecting your data, not only just on your local computer, even if it's hooked up to a network or a network server. It should be also backed up, whether it's in the cloud and or also on an external hard drive. Okay, depending upon the size of your business, that might not be practical, but there's plenty of cloud services out there available to us where you can back up your data off of your computer so it's in a safe place.
Is the cloud safe, Rick? I mean, as of right now, I assume it is, but is that subject to attack at any time?
I'm sure anything is subject to attack, but I would think, because let's take Apple or Microsoft, right? They both offer cloud-based backup services, right? Mm-hmm. I would think it'd be a lot harder to hack into a Microsoft or an Apple server, cloud server, than it would be to hack into your or my computer.
Yeah.
And so these guys will go after the places where you're most vulnerable, where the data is easy to get or relatively easy to get, and spend their time there.
And what part does updating your software play, Rick? I imagine that the ones that stand right out to you is make sure your malware and your antivirus is updated, and make sure you get those all the time, right? Because that's going to help. I mean, some of these things are obvious, but I think the FBI, I understand, and by the way, their FBI has a cyber division where you can report some of these things. The FBI recommends setting up malware and antivirus to where they automatically update, as opposed to being able to notify you and then updating it when it's convenient for you, because things could happen in the interim, right?
Yeah, well, that would be, if you're not tech savvy, if you're not always updating, manually updating things on a regular basis, then that's a great practice to have, is to set it on automatic, so it is done for you. These guys are for every bit of malware protection software or antivirus software that updates that come out that you can update. The bad guys are not very far behind, or slightly, in some cases, slightly ahead of the malware of the software update that's being provided. So, really, we're all susceptible to it. There are situations where, let's take, for example, WordPress. Okay, a simple website that's in a lot of cases, there are a lot of vulnerabilities in the WordPress platform, and that's why you see a lot of updates from WordPress come out, so they stay ahead of the game and prevent these intrusions into your website foundation.
That's right.
Right?
One of the things I would suggest, and I think you helped me with this, Rick, is that wherever your hosting plan is, you can purchase, I think, for what, 50, 80, $100, some sort of a I don't know what you'd exactly call it, a platform, I guess, for example, like GoDaddy or some of these hosting sites. You can purchase this in addition to your hosting purchase to monitor your site, to fight some of these hackers, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great practice. If you're not using something locally on your computer, which I would recommend, at least do something through your hosting plan, because we've all if you have a WordPress website, we've all seen spam comments that come inside your website. We've all experienced it. There's some extreme cases where maybe a client or a person hasn't updated their plugins in quite some time, right? Their WordPress platform is out of date. Well, geez, I mean, that's trouble waiting to happen, because these guys are looking for people like that just haven't done anything or any updates to their platform. And so those holes, which were tiny holes in the beginning, are now gaping holes that make it easy to just go in and crush your website and make it inoperable. So, and
one of the things I think that people may do as well is, when they get a new website platform, say via WordPress, they'll just immediately assign it with the administration or the administrative sign in, right? And if they leave it on administration as opposed to picking their own code word and own login, what problems does that cause, Rick? And why is that so susceptible to hackers?
Well, it's funny, because if you pull up password not to do, or what not to do to prevent getting hacked, one of the most common ways to get hacked, and I assure you it's happened to, you've probably heard people happen to, is that if you leave your login name to admin, or the word login, something easy like that. Well, listen, all the hacker has to do is figure out what password to use to get into your site. And there's some examples where people, they're just too lazy to come up with something original, because they're afraid they won't remember what their password is. So their password is password, or their password is password 1234, or something ridiculously easy to figure out. And these guys have very fast ways to figure out who has those simple login credentials, and it's a train wreck waiting to happen.
But when these hackers, when they put these feelers out or scanners to find these websites that they can hack, however they do that, I remember once you mentioned this to me, they look for, especially in WordPress sites, the word administration, right? Because when you first get your website or your platform to put your website in from WordPress, you're assigned an admin or an administrative login, right? And these guys are out there looking for that to get in your platform in your back office of your website, because they know a lot of people then don't bother to go in and change it from what they're getting assigned, from what their assignment is by WordPress to begin with, right?
Yeah. So a good practice is really come up with something original, come up with something unique. And if you're afraid you're going to forget it, write it down or put it in a safe file. So you can remember it, because it's either that or get hacked at some point. And I assure you.
So now, how do you know, Rick, when you get some of these emails, how do you know, or what are some of the ways you can spot a quote unquote suspicious email, something that you should be wary of opening?
Yeah. Well, first, if you do have viralware or some kind of virus protection software on your computer, they're pretty good at defining what looks like viruses that may be included in your email. And these viruses can come in the form of attachments to the email, software attachments that all of a sudden you click on it, a PowerPoint presentation. You don't know what it is, and all of a sudden you click on it to open it up, and then maybe not right away, but in a couple days or at some point, all of a sudden your computer starts doing sideways things, and it was probably from that. So what I would recommend is that if you do get a suspicious email with some sort of attachment, or it sends you on to a website that you're not familiar with, before you click on that attachment, before you click on that outside link, make sure you know the person who's sending that email to you. That's probably one of the best preventative things, is that don't go clicking on an attachment because it sounds enticing.
Well, are there ways specifically to spot spam, Rick, or is it just simply a matter of getting something that you're unfamiliar with? Does that make it spam, or in other words, not from a legal standpoint, because I know what spam is, but I mean, what would identify to you something that you should be wary of as spam? Is it as simple as saying, well, I don't know who the heck this is, so I'm not going to open it. I'm not going to take the chance.
Yeah. It's hard to say, because attachments, viruses come in all different forms. They're shrouded to make it look safe. But certainly if if you're on a PC platform, one of the things I've always learned in the past is that if you see an attachment that ends with the extension .exe, and that's an execution file, that's probably not a good thing to open, because you just don't know what that file is going to do, and it's going to execute some kind of command, and usually it's not a good command for your computer.
Yeah. And I want to say something to our business owners and entrepreneurs out there, specifically as it relates to your employees. Make sure your employees are well trained on the first line of defense against cyber attacks. You should really make sure and warn them about what your company's email guidelines are. Make sure that they understand what your invoices coming in should look like from vendors. What you tell your clients what your emails are going to look like. I know a famous one is like, PayPal. You get these fake PayPal, and I think PayPal said we never address something specifically to your name. So if you get an email that says PayPal on it and it's addressed to you personally, don't open it. There's things like that you need to know about various websites that you utilize. There's things you need to know about your clients and about your own operation that you can then reasonably disseminate to clients and to your employees, so that they can be aware of exactly what emails are safe and what isn't. I can't emphasize that enough. And that also leads us into the topic of making sure your business is verified, Rick, because if your business is verified, you're going to be able to improve your business's search engines. You're going to be able to stay on top of how your marketing is taking place and who you're going to be getting, who you can expect emails from. So if you're let me see if I get a good example. If you're working in you're running a pet store, and you have places where you take care of pets for people while they're on vacation, for example, or some sort of a pet sitter business, you're probably not going to be getting emails about how to improve your plumbing, right? Or something of that nature. You're going to want to make sure that in addition to improving your rankings and your search preferences by verifying your business on different sites, that you know what kind of audience those sites are then going to be marketed, how your site's going to be marketed to them and who you're going to be marketing to. So you can kind of get an idea as to who's going to be, what the incoming kind of flow of email is going to be. For me, it's a little more difficult because I could get emails from all different types of businesses that may want help from an attorney. But having said all of that, and leaving the ransomware issue aside and understanding how important it is, let's talk a little bit, Rick, about why verifying your business listings are important, why mobile rankings and accuracy and things of that nature. Why does that become so important for your business online today? Why is that a necessity?
Yeah, well, if you think about it, we all want to be as visible as possible to the general public when they search for your type of business, right? Mm-hmm. And so why not help yourself out and get yourself verified, get yourself a verified listing? If you're on Google Plus, Google has a great way to verify your business. All you have to do is provide your local information. It's a quick, easy step to do. I'm familiar with other platforms maybe that are specific to your industry that will allow you to verify your business, to make sure that you are who you say you are, and where you're located. And it's a free service, it's a free listing, it's a great opportunity just to put yourself on the map. Why not make yourself more visible? If they're offering to do that for you, why not do it? Because for the businesses that aren't doing that, well, then guess who's getting seen first usually, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, the interesting thing is, in addition to verifying emails and incoming stuff to your business that prevents ransomware, you want to verify your business listings, for example, on Google, Bing, or Yahoo. I know somebody told me once, Google, Bing, and Yahoo, for example, are businesses too, and the benefit of claiming your business on those listing services is that you have more prominent placement on their maps and search engines. That's obviously a given. But I understand that places like Google will actually walk you through the process of claiming your listing, which is relatively simple, right? So this is not rocket science. And by claiming your listing, you may even be more susceptible to potential ransomware as you become more well-known, because people are going to try to attack. Would it make sense, Rick, I guess is a better way to ask a question. Would it make sense that people are going to try to attack you? Some hacker is going to try to attack you if they see you at the top of a Google search engine, for example. I know one instance, right, where somebody was on top of Google and all of a sudden their website was directed to a porn site, right? And somebody got in there and hacked it, and there was a little code at the bottom of the name of the business, and when you clicked on the business, instead of going to the business, you went directly to a porn site. So you have this offset between being very careful of ransomware stuff and holding you hostage and infecting your sites, and wanting to verify the site so you can rank higher on search engines. It's a real fine line, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I don't know necessarily if one was affected by the other. I mean, it just happened to. I'm familiar with the example that you're talking about, because if there were the safeguards in place on the website, on the website or on the computer in the first place, then this attack might not have happened, even though you're ranking really high, you're very visible, you're at the top of the list. I mean, there's a whole host of variables that may have happened or may not have happened if some of the safeguards that we talked about in the beginning of the show were in place. But it's really hard to say. Everyone's susceptible to it. They look for the easiest hole to breach, and the verification of your business listings, I wouldn't be too leery about just because you're verifying your business and getting ranked higher, because we all want to get ranked higher.
No, I agree. I agree, but we should. It is a means of saying you got to do that. You got to verify the business, but keep an eye on stuff even more so once their businesses are verified. So you got to verify the business. It's in your best interest. But walking hand in hand with that is the fact that now you have to be even more in tune with possible hackers, because I got to believe if you're ranking high on these search engines, you're verified your business on a number of places. Now you've got your SEO working and everything's going great for you. Well, sure, if that business comes up first on a search engine and some guy wants to direct your business from your business to his porn site or whatever it may be, well, that's going to pop up first, and more people are going to click on that potentially, and therefore he gets more clicks on his nasty site, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So you got to be careful of that stuff. But before we end the show today, Rick, on this verification process, I wanted to touch on a couple more points. One of them is accuracy. It's amazing how many people don't update their sites, right? Like business hours are off, or something that they now do is not posted, or something that they used to do and they don't do any longer is not updated. Especially if you join professional sites, based on what profession you're in, you got to have that site be accurate, don't you? It's got to have updates.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times I'll see sites that come up in a search and the phone number is wrong or it's disconnected. So what good is that if your information's not accurate? So
no, it's very important to you got to have somebody doing this for you, or you got to have a set aside the time in your schedule to go in and do it yourself if you're more or less a control freak in that regard. But interestingly enough, Rick, another area that these two things tie in together, this threat of ransomware and this walking the fine line to making sure your businesses are verified and up to date. More than ever before, consumers search for businesses by way of their mobile phone, don't they? Yeah. I mean, it's how many times have you seen, Rick, where a guy's site or a gal's site will come up and be kind of out of whack because there's not the proper information put in it to conform to a mobile phone context, right?
Yeah, right. It's not responsive basically, and that's just the format. It reformats it for your mobile device, and it could be part of that as well. I mean, just because you have a mobile device, whether it's an Android or a iOS device, doesn't mean that you're excluded from bad things happening to it in the form of viralware or ransomware or whatever it happens to be. Mm-hmm. So, that needs to be updated. You need to be aware of it. And at the same time, just take heed on the things that you might open up on those mobile devices, because you can open up something just as nasty on your mobile device as you can on your desktop. So just be careful, be diligent, and protect yourself.
And like our show, visibility is really not on a high budget, right? Most of these professional sites, including your own website, this is all stuff that can be done relatively easily and without spending a whole lot of money on marketing, especially the number of sites that I belong to, professional sites that are for free. I can't tell you how much business I get from those in the last 5 years, especially simply by keeping my stuff up to date. I got an email today from a gentleman who wants me to review a contract for him. And it came right off one of my legal professional sites that I'm on, and I keep that thing updated to a T. And sure enough, it fell right into the gambit of what he wanted to have done, and he was happy to shoot me an email. So visibility is important, and I think what we're trying to impress upon the viewers and listeners today, Rick, is that. Because visibility is important, and because you need to make sure your business is verified and out there and visible on a lot of different platforms, using a lot of different apps that allow you to adapt to these platforms, you have to also be very conscious of this malicious malware and ransomware situation, and stay on top of both, because with the good comes the bad. So you got to be prepared to fight the bad, and there's ways to do it. And for our business people, I can't impress enough how important it is to make sure your employees are well versed, because they may be taking a lot of stuff coming into the vault, so to speak, that you can't do on your own because you're too busy managing the business.
Yeah, and like you said, the bad can be bad and it can be ugly. I'll leave you with this story, because I think this is something that people are familiar with here in Southern California, and that is earlier this year, one of the local hospitals got hit with ransomware. Pretty significantly big hospital, and
it's hard to imagine, isn't it?
Yeah, and when you think about it, how all that sensitive information, all that HIPAA information, right? Patient files and all that stuff. What ended up happening is that they got hit by ransomware on some computer. And the thing about ransomware is that it doesn't just lock up the one computer. It locks up any computer. It basically spiders out to any computer that's hooked up to a network, right? And just spiders it out, reaches out, and locks up everything. And so this hospital was presented with this ransomware message, and was ordered to pay in the form of about $18,000 the unlock key to those who seized control of the hospital's computer system. It locked up everything. I mean, not just the desktop computers, but the whole network. Yeah. And so while this is pretty shocking when you think about it, I think they got off the hook pretty inexpensively for $17,000 for the amount of damage that they potentially could have done. So,
well, the money, think about the money they would probably have to invest from that point on to make sure it didn't happen again.
Yeah.
Right? They're probably going to have to put some more money into the system to figure out a way not to let it. But it's like you said at the top of the show, these guys are sometimes one or two steps ahead of the geniuses, and because many of these guys, we're not just talking about, shoplifters here. We're talking about guys that are really well versed in this stuff, and maybe have been working for a company and were let go, or maybe they're ticked off and they want revenge, or maybe they're just malicious and just love doing nasty things. Who knows? Who cares? The point is, you have to be aware of it and make sure you take steps to rectify it. So I hope this show has been not only revealing, but calls home the important issues that you need to pay attention to. From Rick's perspective, when you're marketing out there, I think he's going to agree with me. Don't stop doing your great marketing and verifying your business and getting up there high on the search engines just because you have to prevent this malicious threat, including ransomware, that defeats the purpose of doing business. Don't let them scare you into not doing the right thing. And from my perspective, make sure as you run your business that you, if you're a solopreneur, or your employees, if you have employees, are fully aware of the policies and the structures of your company, so they know to be on alert for this stuff, because it only takes one mistake.
Yeah, that's it. So hopefully this information has helped everyone out there. Make sure that you're well protected. Make sure you're updating your software on your computers, because it may not just be your computer that you're working at. It could spider out, especially if you're on a network or a small office. It could affect everyone else's. So and that'll be much more costly than the cost of getting the right type of software protection that you need to prevent this in the first place. So yeah. If you do have questions in regards to this, please bounce them off of us. My information is right here below the video, so you're welcome to reach out and get a hold of us. With that, Bill, great episode. Thank you. I hope everyone learned a little bit.
I hope so too, and I hope they remember there's an FBI cyber division where you can make reports on this stuff should it happen to you, and reach out because we're fighting this stuff every day. It's nasty stuff going on out there. Well, anyway, I echo Rick's thoughts, and I hope everybody got something out of the show, and I hope they enjoyed it. We're going to sign off until next week. Rick, thanks again for your great contribution. And folks, we'll see you next week, same time, same place, same channel, for the Bottle Business Sense Show at 10 o'clock a.m. on Tuesday morning. In the meantime, take care and have a prosperous week, everybody.
Have a great week, everyone.